So today I'm talking to Tuulia Syvänen, and we first met in 2017 when I attended a workshop or a 5-day retreat with you in radical honesty, which was very new to me at that time. And ever since I more and more loved that work and loved you and got into it much more. And and I'm very curious about how you got into the work and what you find so exciting about it, maybe, or impressing, so that you are really into it as you are. And I would like you to introduce yourself just at the beginning, and then we get into a little conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first, it's really nice to see you, Anja. I enjoy keeping the connection and connecting. I got to know about radical honesty. I think it was about 2011, so about 9 years ago. I heard about it from my ex-husband. He had read about radical honesty, and he was kind of joking that, oh, that's kind of a weird thing. They say to people, you're fat and you're ugly. And I just got curious, so I googled radical honesty, and I realized that it's actually a lot more, and that's not really the point. And I got curious enough, so I joined a workshop 2012 with Brad Blanton, the founder of radical honesty. He did for many years 7-day workshops in Greece. So I went there, and I was pretty blown away in the opening round how like open people were, talking about things that were like pretty shameful and personal and embarrassing, and how they felt moved, and some started crying, and I was like, wow, yeah, I want this. I'd rather have this than the politeness and the niceties and small talk. And yeah, I just wanted more and more. And 2015, I led my first workshop, end of 2015.
Yes. And I remember when I came to your place, that was in Finland. What's the name of the town again?
Orivesi.
Orivesi, yeah. And it was a beautiful, or is a beautiful place that you like kind of own with your family by a lake.
Yeah.
And it was really a retreat. So there was no distraction at all. And it was a deep work. I think it was a 5-day retreat we did.
Yeah, that's correct. So I had for a while this dream that I would like to do this work in the nature, so we can kind of relax in the forest and be by the lake. And my family has this place by a lake since, I think I'm the 5th generation now. So there's also a lot of family history there. And we did first 1 retreat the first summer, and now we're up to 5. And people love coming there, and they love coming back because of that peace. There's like nobody around, and we can really just be together. And also the free time is so nice because you can swim in the lake or be in the hammock or just look at the trees or hug the trees or be in the log sauna. So that's something special. So for me, it's important that, because the work can get really intense and there's a lot of emotions, maybe sadness, maybe anger, also a lot of joy, that there is that kind of environment where one can relax and get grounded.
Mm-hmm. And can you remember the state you were in back then when you first got to know about this method, and how you developed yourself? What changed for yourself with you, or how you perceive the world?
Yeah, I had started a few years earlier kind of a path of exploring like who I really am, what do I really want? And I think it's kind of this pretty typical thing, reaching 40 and it's like, okay, I'm halfway, whoa. And kind of gone sleepwalking until then. I had a lot of focus on what other people want, and kind of very people-pleasing behaviors, very codependent behaviors. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hang on a second, what I want actually matters too. And I have no clue what I want. So that was a big part of the journey, like figuring out what do I want, what's important to me. and daring to verbalize that and own it and put it out there and be willing to hear a yes or no. So that was definitely very, very much on top of my mind. And other thing is just like be far more open with especially my closest people, and not only open about the good stuff, but also open when I feel down or I struggle with something or I'm sad about something, when I get angry. So allow all that stuff to be there. And what I notice is that the whole, maybe do this way, the whole range expanded. So the range of me accessing my anger, what I call the healthy anger that is protecting me, and then accessing all the like joy and love and connection and care. So yeah, that was the process of really expanding my range of feeling emotions.
Mm. And were you able to get into your anger and express it very quickly, or was it a longer period? And if yes, what helped you most about getting into it?
I think it was definitely a journey, and in the beginning, at times, I definitely like overdid it. Like I was so excited, like yeah, owning my voice and really feeling it first time in my body when I'm raising my voice and how it is to be in that place. And still, yeah. So sometimes I overdid it, like got too loud, so I wasn't fully in touch with the anger anymore and what was going on with me. And then still at times I like underdid it, like worrying about the other person and their reaction and can they take this. So it was like finding the way and adjusting what is the right level of expression that feels like really in sync in terms of what I'm truly feeling. So it's been definitely a long journey, and nowadays I tend to not get very loud or very angry. And a few times, yeah, if I get pissed off, I let that out and it can be there. And in general, I judge nowadays I'm less angry. That and I think it's a lot about I had that phase of working all the past stuff out. So for a while there was a lot of anger coming up, and I expressed that to my parents and other people in my life, including my current and ex-partners and even my child. And now it's kind of like, okay, when I'm angry, it's about what happened now. It's not anymore what they said 10 years ago. So I like being in that place right now.
Mm-hmm. And so what helped you or still helps you the most to stay present and not overdo it when it's not necessary to overdo it?
Yeah, I guess just allowing myself to express. So first recognizing that some tightness here. Okay, George, that's often like a hint for me. Something happening in my stomach is often like tightness or pain or movement. And it's like, okay, there is hints that I'm actually angry. And then just allowing that out. And even if I worry the other one wouldn't take it very well, it's still allowing it rather than let it build up, because then it tends to come big. So when it's still small, just like, this is petty, this might be ridiculous, and I'm just allowing this expression. So yeah, just kind of rewiring my system, my nervous system, in a way that, yeah, expressing whatever is true to me, including anger, is totally fine. So I still get a bit nervous and scared and less than before. So there's some kind of bodily knowledge that, yeah, this is all right. We're going to survive this.
Yeah. So it's like the anchor is the body.
Yes. So we are very interested in Raga Honesty, what happens in the body right now. So physical sensations. So tracking them, things like tightness, heat, pain, trembling, tingling, that kind of stuff. Yeah. That gives a lot of hints. And we all have a bit our own personal way of reacting bodily. And then there is some kind of pretty common stuff, like many people have stuff going on in their stomach, and anger is often here in the jaw or somewhere here. And sadness maybe around the eyes or around the throat, or some kind of restricting feeling.
Yeah. I remember that for me at the beginning, it was pretty difficult to stay in my body. And now looking back, I know why. Yeah, there was a lot of problems I had in my life, feeling my body. And it was like
Yeah.
a huge new universe to discover and to allow myself to feel. And I realized that there was a lot of fear feeling my body, and that I sometimes was really, really overwhelmed during the radical honesty sessions. And I imagine that this was also the reason why I distanced a little bit from it for a while. What does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical actually, because we have not been taught anywhere to notice what's happening in our body and kind of relax into noticing, relax into being present to the physical sensation. So we have no clue, most of us, how to do that. So it's like, whoa, what is this? And instead we have been like taught to just kind of quickly name anger, sadness, joy, love, and we kind of miss a lot of nuances. So it is really like a new retraining that what happens in the body is important, that we can notice, and then kind of reminding ourselves, notice the body, rather than quickly go to the head. Because I think a lot of our society is about what is going on in the head, and that all the wisdom kind of stays here. And I believe the wisdom stays in the whole system. And there's so much information and so much wealth. And it kind of richens the presence, the being here, because there is the body, there's the thoughts, and then there's all the senses. What do I see with my eyes? What I hear with my ears, even the smelling. So yeah, I totally understand that it's been like that for you, because it was like that for me. I had no clue about my physical sensations before. It was not relevant. Only like if there was a big thing like headache or stomach pain or something like that. And other than that, it wasn't there.
And also I remember what helped me a lot was like when you slow down, when you give a retreat or a workshop, you are always very into slowing down the process and helping the people to like breathe and not talk too quickly, too much, and give pauses and invite to a little silence before we go on. And I think that's something that helped me a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's another thing we need to kind of train ourselves with, because nobody normally tells us that it's all right to take your time, slow down, get grounded, feel your feet on the ground, just like do some breathing. And that's just those additional maybe 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It just really changes a lot in the nervous system. And even in the rat race in the mind, because there's that space. But yeah, it's just something that it's kind of intuitive, and somehow we've, I think, forgotten and lost it, because the way of the world now, it's kind of pretty fast. So it kind of requires an effort. And even if somebody asks you something, the first impulse is just quickly answer rather than let me check. What is
Okay, there was a little interruption in the connection, in the internet connection, so we can go on now. It was about the slowing down process and yeah.
So I do think it's really vital for both to our nervous system to just have that space to calm down. It's vital for our thinking mind just to have a bit of space, and also when we slow down, we can notice far more. And I think what is really important when people sort of feel overwhelmed or like panicky or something like, oh, this is too much, and that's oftentimes when they don't slow down, when they're going faster and faster and faster, rather than doing the opposite, which is, okay, I feel my feet against the floor right now. I notice the warmness in my hands. I notice the touch of hair against my skin. So there's like little slowing down, little noticing. And then there's like overwhelming stuff or kind of thought that I'm spinning out becomes a bit less little by little.
Yeah.
And also if one is stressed, that's also a very good way, just a little bit coming back to the body, noticing sensations, slowing down, staring out of the window for a while, whatever it is.
Yeah. And also I imagine that it's, my experience is that it was easier for me because there was somebody with me, like you were there, you were like saying stop. And I'm still not very sure how, in what extent it is possible to do that for yourself without anybody else being there, like reminding you, somebody who's a little bit more awake than yourself at that very moment. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the starting is difficult on your own, because how do you keep reminding if it doesn't come to you or you don't remember? So once you get that, what I call the rewiring to your system, then it kind of can automatically kick in, kind of like, oh yeah, now I can just feel my feet. Or what happens to me when I go to a workshop space and I start to lead workshops, I can be before that running around, maybe helping in the kitchen or unloading the car with the groceries, and it's kind of busy and I'm not much feeling my body. But when I get to that space, I'm immediately like, I feel my feet, I feel my stomach, I notice my shoulders, are they tense, are they up or down? Because I kind of trained myself on that. I got used to that. This is a space where I just notice my body. So the point is that we can train our system, and then we can have little reminders like, I don't know, post-it notes in your laptop or close to your desk or whatever works for you. Like, notice the sole of your feet, take some deep breaths, get up and look outside for 2 minutes. Yeah. So whatever it is. But yeah, the kicking off is tricky, and then remembering to keep it going. So yeah, I think when there is a support of a group and of a coach, that can be helpful.
So you were mentioning the nervous system, and I know that you also have you're a little bit trauma informed in the background, or a little bit more. And so I wonder, what is your view on what part in us is it that keeps us not wanting to be present? What is it that's always interfering and saying, no, I don't want to feel my feet on the ground right now?
Well, it's one hand the head, because we are used to putting preference to the head and whatever happens here, and the chatter and the thought process, that all the thoughts that come and go all the time, we tend to make it important and give it a lot of focus, rather than giving focus also to the body and notice things with the eyes and ears. So that's one, and this tends to be pretty fast process. And another thing is that if we have experienced some trauma, and all of us have one way or the other, they might not be severe or huge, but things like there was a bang and we moved fast and then something fell down or something, and then this is in our bodily memory. So we have these memories in our body, and then if we didn't have like a full process to complete them and somehow shake it out, for example, or other ways, then it's stuck in our body, and somehow our body might interpret that it's healthy or somehow good or vital to block things. So block sensations, block things that are happening here for survival. So the tool of survival and blocking is really important, and our system overdoes it. So it's kind of crude. So when a small bang is somewhere, we're like, when that's not really necessary. But the very, like, in a split of a second reaction, cannot separate, like that was a bang from a car far away, or that was something big falling next to us. So that's a bit with what I think.
Yeah. So for me, there comes up like some kind of a remembering in the group session, like if something happened that may have caused a blank for me, I always experience some kind of speechlessness. I'm still there, and people see me acting and they think everything is fine, but in me there is kind of a speechlessness. And because maybe somebody has triggered me somehow, which I don't know. And then is it so, would you say that the group being there, like mirroring me, that there's no real danger? It's only an imagination of a danger. And there is a possibility of doing a real quick reality check. So everything is fine. Would you say that a group setting helps that to actually heal the nervous system at that point?
Yeah, I do think so. And I think it works in many levels. One is that we tend to do in the beginning of these sessions some breathing together. So we get our nervous systems in sync. And then we always work with at least two leaders of a workshop. So there's two people who have also trained their nervous system. So what we basically do as workshop leaders is that we are lending our nervous system to the people who are maybe over or in some state that is not so-called ideal. So there is people who are like calm in their system, and then you can get calm by just being in that space. And then there is particular tools, of course, like just acceptance and allowing that. So you don't need to be any different right now. That's totally fine what's happening in you. Are you able to verbalize what's going on? And if not, that's all right too. And whatever happens in your body, it doesn't need to be any different. So that kind of allowing presence and witnessing, because many of us, we really desire to be seen and heard in the way we maybe were not in the past. And when we get that experience and kind of a feeling of safety, a lot of things can happen and shift. And then, of course, another thing is what you mentioned about the mirroring of other people. And if somebody notices something about you or asks questions, that helps you to access. And then we do what we call the reality check. Like we assume things like, oh, I assume you're really angry at me, or I worry you're going to attack me, or I worry you don't like me, I worry you want me out of the group. And then we can just ask and verbalize. And many times these fears are not fully founded. And when they are, it still shifts the experience totally when we just put it out there and fully experience that in our bodies, and then fully experience what the other person responds. And then we have a process of still staying present, even if we don't like what they say. And we keep the eye contact and notice our bodies, and things start to shift pretty fast in the body when we're just keeping eye contact and being present.
Yeah. I loved it when you said, using the language, I appreciate you for saying we lend our nervous system. And another really a big question for me is if two people want to do the work, like I resent you for something, and there's no third person who can keep track and kind of lend his nervous system, and both get into such a high trigger. Would you say that during the practice of it, we get to a point where we can do it only two people? Do you experience that?
Yes, definitely. And it also depends where everybody's at. So if there is a long history of feeling unsafe, maybe some trauma, maybe some abandonment issues, then immediately just doing things in a high trigger, high alert state, just one-on-one, might not be beneficial. But when you train yourself more and more, and you're kind of more grounded in your being, then that's totally fine. So it's also a journey of recognizing what is working for you right now, and where you're just kind of going beyond what's really serving you, basically what's helpful for you, what's actually, because if it's easy with two people kind of get into a loop, for example, arguing who's right and wrong, or just like raising the voice more and more and go like over the top when you're not anymore in touch with any of the experience. For example, very loud voices where it's not in sync with the actual experience.
Yeah.
So it's about training yourself, your system, and it's about a process. And everybody has their own personal process. So it depends where you're coming from and what are the steps you need to make in order to have that ability to self-regulate and notice like those patterns that are not serving.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you did some little trauma. I don't want to say the word little because I don't know yet. Would you tell a little bit about what you learned in addition to radical honesty concerning trauma work?
Yeah, so I have a 4-year training as a therapist. So that's kind of in addition to my radical honesty trainer, and we did in that training, of course, some work on trauma. And then I have done some additional courses. I've done a somatic experiencing weekend, and then I did some training in sensomotoric psychotherapy. So also a very body-based system. And then I work mainly with my husband Pete, and he's a somatic experiencing practitioner. So he has his 3-year trauma training. So I judge that with our tool sets, we can basically support people with different kinds of trauma. And by now there's nothing that I get really freaked out about. So even if something bigger topics come up, I can stay pretty present. And I think that's like the key, that if somebody says that I thought about killing myself last night, that I don't like freak out and like, oh my God, but rather like, okay, tell me more. I want to hear more. Are you willing to share? And that they have that space of just sharing and being in that experience.
Yes, I do remember a situation in one of the workshops with you where I really thought, wow, this is so on the edge, and you trust the process and you trust yourself, you, Tuulia, and it helped me so much. It was like not me, but my nervous system kind of opened up, and there was even more trust. And I also remember that there's one exercise to say, not how do you put it, and like I like to say there's me and there's my nervous system, because it's an autonomous nervous system. It does things that I can't really control, and the wording in radical honesty invites you to put it so that you have it under control sometimes. And I sometimes I had a real big yes, I didn't want that to be possible, you know. Can you understand that? Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure if I fully understand what you mean. And yeah, I think it is a like powerful place to come from maybe a victim or a person who has things happening to her or him, to a place of I'm in charge, I'm the creator of all my emotions, I'm the creator of all my sensations.
Like I'm afraid of you, and you would invite me to say, I make myself afraid of you. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes. Yes, we like that language because it really brings the ownership here. And on one hand, it's like, what? But what other people do does impact. And yes, what other people do does impact me. And how those things impact me are really about my person, my personality, my history. So it's not like somebody does one thing and then there's a like direct link to a particular impact. No, it's still I'm reacting, I'm the creator. And in that way, I'm in charge and I'm responsible of all my reactions and emotions. I cannot always control them, but I can control my action, but not so much my emotions, but I'm still the creator. So it's not like you have the power to make me feel in a certain way. And I think that's a great place to be. Like we don't inject emotions or sensations to other people.
Yes. That gets the whole thing clearer for me too now. Yeah. And in what you said about the education you did with therapy and trauma, would you say that infected your or changed your work with radical honesty, or was it more like, yes, a radical honesty offers this all, and it's just like it helped you to say, yeah, that's the right work? Or was there a change in addition?
Yeah, I think I am ever changing and evolving, and I would be very concerned if I say that, okay, now I know it all. Like in a way, like some comes with different trainings, some comes just observing great teachers and being there or maybe assisting them. And then one thing conflict just practice ongoingly, being there with groups, with individual clients, with couples, and then doing my own work supervision where I can really reflect and use some wisdom of another person who's kind of can see it even in a very different way. So I really love the work supervision part, that I'm ongoingly checking in, like, okay, what was going on with me? What situation I found tricky? And it kind of works in several levels. One is just like, okay, so me taking ownership of what I did in those situations, and then also understanding the theoretical framework that sometimes in the moment I don't fully see, and then it kind of takes space to just explore what were all the things that happened and how that is in a bigger perspective of phenomena and things that happen in people, like psychoeducation basically. And I do want to also do that in the workshop. So sometimes explain a bit, like, for example, we say out loud the worst fears because shame breeds in shadows. And when you allow yourself to say out loud something really difficult, maybe embarrassing or shameful, the experience shifts, and actually maybe the haunting thoughts also start to shift.
Mm. And is your experience that the shift is something that's that really changes in the depth of the system, or could it also be like a routine that I start taking in my life, and I always just I stay at the surface, and I always just say what is going on, and it never really gets into a deep shift?
I think it depends. So shifts can be at different levels, and we don't know, and there's no guarantee what kind of shift there is in each time. And what I do think that in my experience, it takes between 3 and 5 times to say something really difficult out loud. For somebody, it might be like, I've been depressed, or I had a burnout, or I had an abortion, or I hit my partner, or whatever it is, something that is kind of, or I stole money. So this kind of secrets, these shameful things. So after 3 times, already the first time brings a shift, but then it brings more and more shift. And I kind of jokingly say that I want people to get to a place where it's like, it's raining. I had an abortion. Oh, I want to have soup for lunch. That is like one of these things that you can just say out loud and talk about.
Okay. Yes. So you don't need to suppress it. You can actually tell about it, and you don't fall, and the other one doesn't fall because you can hold it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I'm not saying it's always easy, but kind of with practice, it does also get into this, what I call the rewiring of the system. That yes. Our body gets used to, like, okay, when there is some nervousness and some tightness in the body, and the head says, don't say, and we say it anyway, it's like, there is some release that comes quite fast, and it's kind of really pleasant.
Yes.
So we really kind of retrain ourselves, and it's mainly on body level, but there's also a level in the thinking mind. When we see that we say something really shameful and tricky, and then other people are actually looking with care and love and acceptance or curiosity, is like, they're not hating me. Whoa. And then they might open up saying, yeah, I've been suicidal too, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different way of being together. Like, I can be exactly who I am. You can be who you are. And that's how we can meet.
Yes, beautiful. So I definitely want to put some links, at least the link to your homepage below. I'm not sure if the connection is still online because yes, I kind of see your head moving, so it seems like you hear me. And maybe you want to say 2-3 sentences about your work at the moment, what you offer, so that people listen to it and don't know about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that people can get in touch with you.
Yes. So our organization is called Honestly Europe, and we lead workshops and retreats all around Europe, especially in the Netherlands and Germany and Finland, but also in other places. And basically, in honestlyeurope.com website, we have all the workshops. And if you have like a worry of jumping into a longer one, we do have like online options. So that's also great. You don't need to invest money for traveling. And now in Corona times, that can be very useful. We do have couples things, also online couples things. And then we offer free webinars once a month. So that can be a nice taste of checking in. Okay, do I want to do more of this? How are these people? Maybe ask a question. So we have these offers. And then we have a YouTube channel. So there's a lot of different videos on particular topics. So I basically do videos every week to answer whatever questions people send me. And yeah, if somebody has a particular question, I'm happy to do a video anytime.
Okay, I will put these links below.
Cool.
Yeah. And there's still an idea that if time allows, to do a little practical session, maybe another time, we can talk about that. But I would be curious to do that online and publicly.
Totally.
So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would be happy to do that. And there's few things that we can demonstrate online pretty easy. Some are maybe best to demonstrate face to face, but definitely there's several exercises I can propose. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I admit that I have been nervous most of the time, and I still am. And I see you smiling, and that helps me a lot, calming down a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate you for saying that. I noticed that my like personal rhythm is that I speak pretty fast and I get excited. And then I was like, oh, that's such a contradiction to talk about calming down and slowing down. And then my style is like, ooh. So I was quite aware of that. And okay, that's who I am. And there's the other side where it's so good.
Yeah, I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. And great seeing you, Anja. I'm glad that we had this chat.
Yes, I too. It was nice to have our both nervous systems together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
Okay, thank you so much. And
thank you.
See you again.
Yes, great. Bye.
Bye-bye.